Welcome to the science class. In today's class, we are going to continue the chapter 4 sorting materials into groups. Okay, in the previous class, we have discussed about the grouping of objects, and based on the properties of material, we can group the object into many groups, right? Based on that, we have discussed about the appearance of objects like hardness and softness, right? Today we are going to discuss about the solubility of materials. First, let us do an activity, okay? Collect some samples of solid substances such as sugar, salt, chalk powder, sand, and sawdust. Take 5 glasses or beakers and fill each one of them about 2/3 with water. 5 beaker or any 2 beakers also you can choose. Take these types of solid substances and add a small amount of sugar to the first glass and salt to the second glass, and similarly add the substance to other glasses and stir the contents of each of them with a spoon and wait for a few minutes and observe what happened to the substances that are added to the water, what disappears and what doesn't. You will notice that some substances have completely disappeared or dissolved in water like this, and some substance cannot dissolve. Some substance can dissolve in water, some substance cannot be dissolved. The substance which are soluble dissolved in water are called as soluble substances. We say that these substances are soluble in water, and other substances which do not mix with water and do not disappear even after we stir for a minute, these substances are called as insoluble substances, or these are insoluble in water. And water plays an important role in the functioning of our body also, right? Because it can dissolve a large number of substances. Do liquids also dissolve in water? Let us check, okay? Collect samples of vinegar or lemon juice, oil, coconut oil, kerosene or any other liquid, and take a glass tumbler, fill it with half water and add a few spoons of one liquid to this and stir it well. Let it stand for 5 minutes and observe whether the liquid mixes with water, and repeat the same with the other liquids. As many different liquids as that are available to you. Here the kerosene oil and here the ink and the oil are tested. From this we notice that some liquids get completely mixed with water. That right? Like vinegar, lemon juice, these are mixed with water, and some other do not mix with water and form a separate layer like this. When we kept this for some time, it forms a layer in water, and the oil, kerosene oil and honey that are not soluble in water, so they form a layer in the water. And some gases are soluble in water, whereas some gases are not soluble in water. Usually the small quantities of some gases is dissolved in it. For example, oxygen gas dissolved in water is very important for the survival of humans, animals, plants that live in water. And next we move on the floating and sinking of materials. This is also a property of materials. The the solubility is also related to this floating and sinking. The insoluble solids separated out from water, right? Some of these materials that did not mix with the water floated to the surface of water. The materials which are not mixed with the water or not dissolved in the water can be floated in water, and others may have sunk to the bottom of the tumbler, right? We noticed many examples of objects that float in water or sink. Dried leaves fallen on the surface of a pond, a stone that you throw in the pond, and few drops of honey that you let fall into a glass of water. What happened to all of this? The leaf float on water and the honey sink in water, and also the stone is sink in waters. So based on the solubility of water, the animal the solids and liquids sink and float on water. Okay, next we move on the property transparency. Based on the transparency, the materials can be grouped into three types: transparent objects, translucent object, and opaque object. You might have played the game of hide and seek, right? This thing of some places where you like to hide so that you are not seen by others. Mainly we used to hide the behind the trees and walls, right? Why did you choose these places? Would you have tried to hide behind a glass window? Obviously not, right? As your friends can see through that and spot you easily. If you hide you in the behind the glasses, you can found out by your friends easily, right? And those substances or materials through which things can be easily seen. Things can be easily seen are called as transparent objects. Okay, through which objects we can see the things clearly. That objects are called as transparent object. The glass, lens, plastic, clear plastics, diamond, cellophane sheet, water, air. These are some of the transparent objects. The light also easily pass through these objects, right? And shopkeepers usually prefer to keep biscuits, sweets, and other eatable things in the transparent containers of the glass or plastic so that buyers can easily see these items and buy these things, right? On the other hand, there are some materials through which you are not able to see. You're not able to see the things that are behind the things. These materials are called opaque. Through these materials, the light also cannot pass through it. And you cannot tell what is kept in a closed wooden box, right? Or a hardboard or a metal container. We cannot see the things behind in the which are kept behind these types of cardboard, wooden box or metals, right? These materials are called as opaque objects. This wood, cardboard, brick, cup, apple, can, stone, mirror. These are the examples of opaque objects. The things through which we cannot see the things are called as opaque objects. Okay. Next we move on to translucent objects. let us do one activity to clear out this. Take a sheet of paper and look through it towards a lighted bulb. We can see the light clearly, right? And now put 2 or 3 drops of oil in that and spread it on the sheet of paper. Look again towards the light bulb through that portion of the paper on which the oil has been spread. Do you find that the bulb is more clearly visible than before? Can you see clearly through the oil paper? Not, right? The materials through which objects can be seen but not clearly are known translucent object. Through this translucent object, we can see the things, but we cannot see the things clearly. We can therefore group materials as opaque, transparent, and translucent, right? And covering the glass of a torch with your palm at a dark place and switch on the torch and observe the other side of the palm like this. Whether palm of your hand is opaque or transparent or translucent, it is translucent because we can see the light partially, right? So this is the perfect example of the translucent object. So we learned that materials differ in the appearance and the way they mix with water or other liquids, and they may float or sink in water, or maybe transparent, opaque, or translucent. Materials can be grouped on the basis of similarities and differences in their properties. Why do we need to group materials? In everyday life, we often group materials for our convenience, right? At home, we usually store things in such a manner that similar objects are placed together. Such an arrangement helps us to locate them easily, right? And similarly, a grocer usually keeps all types of biscuits at one corner and all soaps at another corner, and the grains and pulses are stored at some other places. Likewise, he divide the things into some groups, right? There is another reason why we find such grouping useful is dividing materials into groups make it convenient to study their properties also. We can easily study the properties of the materials, right? And also observe any patterns in these properties. So today we have discussed about the properties of materials. Based on the properties of materials, the materials can be grouped. So I hope you all are understand this. Thank you, students.